that God wants to convey. With the projects understands you can't build in a day. Oh, we know miss circumstance will sometimes bring delay into progress. The hands are still working the clay, it's a process.
Hello and welcome to day 6 in our series of reflections looking at phrases found in the wisdom literature of the Old Testament. We will also be touching on the theme of wayfaring. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 8. Better is the end of a thing than its beginning, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. This phrase, found in Ecclesiastes, emphasizes the value of resolve and resolution. Many biblical narratives illustrate that the conclusion of a journey or process reveals God's purpose and plan more clearly than the start. For example, viewed from the end, Joseph's journey in Genesis showed how his trials eventually led to the greater good. But in order to bring a story or a project, including our story and our project, to completion, there are some character traits that need to be developed and at work. Patience, perseverance, and prudence being amongst them. Once, whilst encouraging his disciples to count the cost of commitment, Jesus presents an illustration of a person planning and preparing in order to know what is required to complete a building project. May God help us to display determination and diligence in building our lives. Once, whilst meandering along a coastal path in Montenegro, my sights settled on some semi-built properties. Some had clearly been left that way for a long time. I found this sad. At some point, this structure was somebody's dream. Evidently, effort, energy and equity had been placed into a project that up to that point they had not been able to get over the line. I remember reflecting on one of these houses and thinking, that's my life. Much work and wealth has gone into it, but it remains unfinished. Its potential is, as yet, unfulfilled. Perhaps the design of the architect is, as yet, unaccomplished. It could be that at times unfinished work is down to poor planning or work ethic. But perhaps at times it isn't. Perhaps we all have works in progress. Perhaps we all are works in progress. We must not abandon the ongoing assembling of our lives. You cannot have a finished house unless you first have an unfinished house.
There are plans that God wants to convey. With the projects understands you can't build in a day. Oh, we know life's like a half-finished house that we're building, survive despite all of the doubts that were drilled in. Been times I thought it would fall down, which instilled fear if there have been turnarounds, and it's still here. Yeah, it's still here. There's flaws and more than a few cracks, consequential. Can't ignore that there are still some gaps, work essential. The Lord of this man, he has got credential, restored future, present and past, much potential. A price there are bills to be paid, dedication must be wise. I must work on the base, firm foundation, a life built on truth and the way, good location, see it rise, move into a new place, restoration. Restoration, restoration.